Welcome to Our Ventura TV. I'm Bart Stern, your host, and if you're a homeowner, a business owner, or if you have a boat or RV, then our guest today is an important part of your life. We're joined by Ventura County Assessor Dan Goodwin. Dan, thanks so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
I think most people don't realize what an important role that you and your staff play in the lives of so many Ventura County residents. Tell us a little bit about what the Office of the Ventura County Assessor does.
Okay. Well, the County Assessor is a mandated position by the California State Constitution, and the Assessor is charged with the responsibility to identify all taxable property. Now that also includes managing all exemptions, tracking ownership, providing the necessary analysis to conclude at a value that will become a part of the basis of property taxes, which are then delivered to the county auditor, who makes calculations and then passes it along to the tax collector for collections.
That's an amazing job. So I understand there are tens of thousands of accounts that you're responsible for, both buildings, land, property, and personal property. How do you do it? You must have a limited staff, not thousands of people.
Well, yeah, budget constraints are always a concern. The overall assignment is about 300,000 accounts.
Wow.
So that's about 250,000 real property accounts. The other 50,000 being what we call personal property, includes boats and airplanes, as well as business property. An example of business property and real estate together would be like our largest taxpayer is Amgen. They have more than $1 billion in property, and of that, more than $500 million is personal property, computers, microscopes, and other things. So the staff has to be very diversified. Our responsibility, as I said, is everything that's taxable, so that includes what most people are thinking of is their home, their condominium, mobile homes. Also, it's the farmland, tractors on the farmer that are not part of DMV taxing, irrigation equipment, trees and vines, those kinds of things. Then there's also the odd properties like tugboats at the harbor, or there's possessory interests, what we call on property like at a airport or a harbor where a public entity owns the property and then it's leased to a private party. That private party has a possession for a period of time, which also has to be assessed. So the staff is very much organized around the work. Each person has expectations for production and accuracy and measured goals, and we use a quarterly assignment system to stay on schedule, so at the end of the year we get it all done.
Wow, it must be a really efficient operation. How many assessors or staff members do you have?
Well, the overall staff is, from time to time will vary, but our positions are a little over 130 positions, and our overall budget has actually stayed pretty flat over the last few years. And in other words, not even inflating, even with time. So we've been able to address the pressures on our budget to hold the net county cost solid in a way that caused each person to be a little more productive, and also give them tools in terms of computer systems and assist their decision making through delivery of data in a more efficient way.
I bet you're mentioning computer systems. I imagine technology must play a really important part in managing so much information.
Yes, it's rolled a long ways. I've been your assessor now for nearly 16 years, and during my first year,
there must be huge changes in that
huge
period.
Changes. We have about 50 appraisers plus their supervisors and managers, and they used to assemble what we call a comparison sheet or a comp sheet with Scotch tape and scissors. They would take Xerox copies and tape the comps.
Wow.
We've moved a long ways from that, and in fact, at that time, none of them had individual desktop computers as well 16 years ago. Now, of course, they all do. Most of them have double screens, some 3 screens. They have desktop programs and mainframe systems, and then we've added on a lot of customized components that support data extraction from the mainframe for analysis. And so we've scanned more than 2 million pages of documents from our files, moved hundreds of file cabinets out of the office.
Paperless, I'm sure.
Right. Yes. So
we're driving a lot of space.
Yeah, we've created space, driven our staff towards fingers on keyboards and away from pencils and paper.
Yeah, I bet that is absolutely essential.
Yes, and well, another part is the public's expectations. There's,
Sure.
We live in a society that has moved a long ways in that 16 years as well, and so they're used to services being delivered in the banking industry, and insurance industry, and other areas, with an expectation for rapid response. And while we're not able to keep up with the kind of responses they see there, we certainly have had to do our best to maintain professionalism in that environment.
Right. It's amazing how many different disciplines with 130 people
Yes.
that you have to be an absolute expert in to come up with an accurate value for hundreds of thousands of accounts. How do you find experts in every possible field? That must be a challenge.
Yeah, it primarily begins with training program. The majority of our staff was hired at the trainee level or the apprentice type level, and have worked their way through. In some cases, we've recruited individuals from other counties that have been at an experienced level. And then there's, on occasion, we've received when we had a management position open, we've had some managers come from other counties as well, other disciplines. But it is a very much focused. There's many of our staff know much more about individual assignments than I do. I'm the one who tries to facilitate their work with the tools they need, but there are many questions. If you were to drill down, I'd have to say, well, I got to ask my staff about that.
Absolutely. There's so much information to manage, and the public, I'm sure, knows a lot less about the process, even though they're the taxpayers.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that the website, I've checked the Assessor's website over the years, and there seems to be really an immense amount of information there. Can you tell us a little bit about what can be found there?
Thank you for the compliment. I take that as a compliment. We've worked hard to make that one of our communication tools. I think my responsibility is primarily first to deliver accurate assessment work, and then communicate with the public. Sure. And so the website's one of our key tools. We have nearly 60, actually I think it's a little over 60 forms that are part of either the State Board of Equalization's information or our own information that's available. We have we have somewhere, well, I know it's more than 100 questions, frequently asked questions that can be reviewed, and they're distributed in about 19 different categories that are the kind of things people look for. Property characteristics information. If people know their parcel number, they can look up information, or if they have an address, they can apply that. There's parcel maps. They can get maps for free. There's a lot of our forms are distributed that way. They can download a form that they might need to send to our office, information about how to save taxes on a parent-to-child transfer, maybe a disabled veterans exemption. And then there's also opportunities for our business clients, our business property owners, to file electronically. We've been driving the information and providing growth in that area. So we have more and more businesses now doing an electronic filing. They don't, in other words, we don't even send them a form anymore. We used to send them a form and say, fill this out.
They can just do it from the website.
We can do that through. We send them we call it a BIN number, but a identification number that they can use, so they have security. They put in their identification number, opens their account, they see it, they can see what they filed last year, they can adjust any changes, leave the things that are the same, and it's more efficient for the taxpayer, and certainly more efficient for my staff as well. So we're trying to grow that area. We have both large businesses and small businesses that handle that.
Sure.
So it's been pretty exciting to see how that's grown.
That's amazing. There are so many people who pay property taxes, either personal or business, or on their homes, and you send out hundreds of thousands of bills. So so many of us see the bill and may or may not understand exactly what it means. It's great to hear about the website. How would someone know about the appeal process, or whether or not whether or not they even should
Right.
question the
Well,
tax amount.
well, I'd encourage every person who, when they receive their valuation notice, and also it shows in the tax bill too. The tax bills will be are mailed after the value notices. That they'll examine the value, ask themselves, how does that compare to market value?
Right.
If they've owned their property for a long time under Prop 13, they may have an assessment that's substantially below market.
Sure.
If they purchased it, after 2000, the year 2000, they're going to be closer to market. The market, of course, has done a lot of changes over the last 8 years.
Yeah.
We lowered the value on over 80,000 properties during the height of the decline in the market. And now some of those have been restored, some have been partially restored. But as people have their value notice, they can examine it. We encourage them to call our office if they have questions. They can also look into maybe they know a realtor. They might, if they have some concerns.
Sure.
But the actual appeal process is managed by the clerk of the board. We do have on our website a little video tutorial where they can get an idea how the appeal process is rolled out, give them some comfort about representing themselves if they like.
Sure.
Most homeowners do represent themselves, and I know the appeals board, if I might say, you also as a key member of the appeals board
I've been lucky to serve on the appeals board and learn a lot about that. So.
Well, you certainly championed the example that I think most taxpayers would want, and that's somebody who's independent and thoughtful and knowledgeable. So all those things together have strengthened the credibility for the taxpayers that they're getting a fair hearing.
Sure, that's great. And it's important, I think, for people to be able to just call and talk to someone and get information to understand.
Right.
And as much as I've studied it and been involved, it's still, there's a lot of information to understand. So.
And my staff is happy to provide comparables to explain how the value is determined, provide the data
of how the numbers
show the data. We're all about getting the data accurate. If we've made a mistake, we want to know. We're happy to correct a value. In fact, we prefer to correct it ahead of time so everybody saves the time and trouble of a formal appeal. And so our staff will certainly work with any property owner in getting to the facts and explaining the indications of those facts.
That's great. It's a great service.
Thank you.
To the county. So what do you see coming in the future? You've been assessor for 16 years, you said.
Yes.
I remember when you got elected, it doesn't seem 16 years ago. It must seem like it's gone by fast.
Yeah.
What do you see next?
Well, I believe it's gone by fast as well, and one thing I'm really personally encouraged by is Monday comes and I'm ready to go to work. I kind of enjoy the challenges, the solving of problems. We have a great management team. The assessor's office is very fortunate to have some talented leaders in every area, and whether it be the senior managers, mid-level managers, the newest people. I have a good, very good manager who's going to be retiring soon, and he was just telling me at coffee this morning how this talented group of people we've hired over the last few years he thinks it's the best we've ever hired. Maybe it was part of the outgrowth of the bad economy. A lot of people were interested in competing for a job at the assessor's office, learning to be an appraiser. Or maybe work as in a technician area or some other service area in the assessor's office. But we've been blessed with talented individuals who've come to work for us, and the leadership of our supervisors and managers is just outstanding. So
I bet with all the technology and everything, still the most important thing is the people.
It is, absolutely. Technology is a tool like a electric saw to a carpenter and a nail gun. Those are just tools, but without a good carpenter, you don't get very good results, right?
Absolutely.
So, the people are the best.
I feel like I could ask you 100 more questions because there's so much to know about your office and the important things that you do, but we're out of time. Okay. So could you share the website address for the assessor?
Well, it's very simple. It's in fact, the simplest way is just because everybody Googles. Just Google Ventura County Assessor.
All right.
It'll pop up fast. You can put my name in, and it'll come up that way as well. Dan Goodwin. It's actually shorter than the HTTP.
Right. The whole address.
Stuff.
That's right. Well, I really appreciate your time. You obviously have a lot to do, and your staff in a very important role. So appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much
today.
Thank you very much.
Our guest today on Our Ventura TV has been Dan Goodwin, the Ventura County Assessor. I'm Bart Stern, your host. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.